Muscle growth does not happen by accident. To develop your muscles, we have to challenge ourselves in training and support growth through nutrition. If I look at my fitness journey, there have been 3 key driving training and nutrition forces that have helped me reach new heights. Getting these variables right will speed up your muscle development process. In this video, I will share my top 3 science-based tips on how you can force your muscles to grow more effectively. Let's dive straight in by discussing the first tip, which is absolutely crucial, and that is to set yourself up for progressive overload in your training. I have discussed progressive overload several times before on this channel. Muscle growth is simply an adaptation to increased training demands. If you force your muscles to lift heavier weights over time, they will adapt by growing bigger and stronger. The human body seeks efficiency. We have to give your body a reason to grow. Just lifting the same weights over and over again won't cut it. We want to get stronger on our key compound lifts. There are a few movement patterns we want to strengthen to have complete physique development. To challenge the leg muscles well, we want to get stronger in a squatting variation and with a hip hinge. For the back and biceps, we want to strengthen a horizontal and vertical pulling pattern. For the chest, shoulders, and triceps, we also want to get stronger in horizontal and vertical pushing patterns. If you focus on getting stronger in just these 6 movement patterns, your physique development will take a big leap forward. A simple and effective progression model you can use to set yourself up for progressive overload is the double progression method. Let's take a barbell row as an example. You train a barbell row with 3 sets in an 8 to 10 rep range. Let's say you can row 40 kilograms for 8 repetitions. Before increasing the weight above 40 kilograms, work your way up to doing barbell rows for 10 repetitions. Once you have reached 10 repetitions with 40 kilograms, it is time to up the weight to 42.5 kilograms and the double progression method starts all over again. This is called a double progression because there are 2 steps in the progress scheme. You first progress the number of repetitions you do to the upper threshold of your rep range. Once you have reached that upper threshold number of repetitions, then you can increase the weight you lift. Use this double progression method on all of your compound movements to build in progressive overload into your training program. Now, the second tip is also about training, and this is about being strict with your exercise technique. I know we just talked about the importance of progressive overload. But progressive overload is only valuable if you're able to properly engage the target muscle groups in the first place. If I perform my barbell rows while mostly standing upright, I can progressively overload the movement all I want. My back muscles won't grow well because the range of motion I am training in is limited. So next to focusing on progressive overload, also stay conscious of your technique as you're increasing the weights. Because it's easy to let your form slip a bit as you're pushing for strength progress. I am guilty of this myself. When I sometimes look back at my old training footage, I see that I use a bit more body English to get more repetitions or lift a slightly heavier weight. We want to prevent this as much as possible, since the goal is not just moving more weight through space. The goal is using heavier weights to maximally stress the target muscle group. As a way to keep close track of your form development as you're progressively overloading your movements is to film your compound exercises every 4 weeks or so. This allows you to actually see how your form develops as you are progressively overloading your lifts. If based on your form video you're seeing that your technique is getting less controlled as you're increasing the weight, then slow down your rate of weight progression. It's better to have slow strength development with proper lifting technique than to have fast strength progress without your muscles being properly engaged. Using proper form isn't just effective for more muscle growth, but it also helps with long-term injury prevention. So keep a close eye on your form during strength training. We want to progressively overload our lifts while having our technique dialed in and consistent. The third tip is nutrition related, and that is to make sure that you're also eating enough to fuel muscle growth. After all, we need to fuel these challenging training sessions and give your body the building blocks it needs to build muscle. A mistake I made early in my fitness journey is that I always tried to get leaner and was constantly in a calorie deficit. If you have fat loss goals, then eating in a calorie deficit is of course necessary, but we don't want to stay in a deficit for too long. While eating in a calorie deficit for fat loss, your body has less energy to utilize towards training and building new muscle. Research supports this by showing that being in a calorie deficit lowers your muscle protein synthesis rates. Muscle protein synthesis is essentially the process through which your muscles recover and grow. So if maximizing muscle growth is the goal, we want to spend a limited time in a calorie deficit. Of course, if someone is overweight or obese, then staying in a calorie deficit for an extended period of time is part of the process. But if you have a healthy body fat percentage, try not to chase getting shredded too early in your fitness process. Invest in your body by having lean bulking phases in which you eat slightly above maintenance calories to fuel more muscle growth. If I look at my journey, I had to go through several lean bulking phases before I was able to reach my current state. Now I am able to maintain a relatively low body fat percentage with a healthy amount of muscle, but this had to be earned through having lean bulks at the beginning of my process. With most of my online coaching clients that are looking to build muscle, I like to maintain a 1:2 ratio when it comes to losing fat and bulking. For every month of the year you spend in a calorie deficit, maintain at least 2 months at maintenance or in a lean bulk. This will help you build your body up. When you eat at maintenance calories or slightly above maintenance, this is when you can supply the body with more carbohydrates to train more intensely and consume more calories in general to better support the anabolic processes related to muscle growth. I recently made a video about lean bulking that I will link in the description below, so you can check that out if this sounds beneficial to you. So to sum up, you will elevate your muscle growth progress if you focus on the 3 following variables. Set yourself up for progressive overload in your training. Imposing greater demands on your muscles over time will force new muscle gains to occur. While progressively overloading your exercises, make sure to keep a close eye on your exercise technique. We want to lift more weights while keeping form exactly the same. And lastly, don't be afraid to eat more to fuel your muscle growth progress. Going on a lean bulking phase is an investment for your long-term physique development. And that was all for today's video. I hope you now have a better idea of how you can force more muscle growth to occur. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Also, if you found this video helpful, then leave me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and I will see you in that next video.